Tonight we take a look at a great URI project that is helping world hunger. Or at least telling the story about a company locally here that is certainly battling world hunger. Great to have you in. Thank you very much for tuning in to My State of Mind. I am Dan York, and Jesus is risen. Spring has sprung, at least for a day or two. I only have this little bitty pile of snow. Little bit. When I left this morning, it's about this big. I'm hoping it's gone tonight. I know you're watching too. Don't tell me. I ran into a guy today who said he ran a pool. He's got like 20 guys in a pool. Whoever can take the last piece of snow, time dated on the photo, wins the pool. That's pretty good. That's a good way to get through the creative process or the depression of this winter into spring. All right, lots to do tonight. In fact, when it comes to spring and baseball, you have to stay tuned for my last segment and one more thing. The economics will blow you away. Let us go to the rundown over here on this camera and see what's happening. Yeah, the president's trying to make this feel like it's a great, great thing. Don't ask Netanyahu about it, that's for sure. I was asking this question today when I looked at the newspaper and then watched one television report about this awful tragedy on the highways this weekend. This is really starting to, the gag order and the self-congratulatory nature of our judiciary, unsurprising, no doubt, but still brutal to watch. What else do we have here? Yes, he got 2 blows at the end of the week that we didn't get a chance to talk about. And believe it or not, they're no longer undefeated. Well, you probably saw that anyway. And your state of mind is important to us. So let's dig in here and chat a little bit about these things. The Iran nuke deal, WashingtonPost.com. The president makes his pitch for it. He spent some time with the New York Times. Here's a little CBS rundown on that.
President Obama is actively selling the framework nuclear agreement with Iran to the American people and the world.
This is our best bet by far to make sure Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon.
In an interview with the New York Times, President Obama pushed back against critics, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who say the deal threatens the security of Israel, the Middle East, and the U.S.
If, in fact, we can resolve these issues diplomatically, we are more likely to be safe, more likely to be secure, in a better position to protect our allies. And who knows, Iran may change.
This is a big legacy deal. I'll tell you, it's hard to ring the telephones on this, at least when it comes to local folks and focus. Maybe it's that we got so much going on here in Rhode Island. I mean, this is world security that we're talking about. And there's no doubt the president feels a legacy opportunity with these negotiations and the way he's handling them. The Iranian citizens seem to be ecstatic over the progress here, and that ought to give you an indication that the sanction lifting is really their major motive. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. Not ecstatic, the Israelis, but there's not a lot we can do right now to make the Israelis comfortable about Iranian intentions. The Israelis and the prime minister, recently reelected, don't trust this president not to trust the Iranians. And that's where the crux of the controversy exists, I think. Next item. Yeah, I was asking where the soul is here. First of all, prayers for the family, for the victims, the family of these 2 beautiful young lives, 2 people in Central Falls, have a night out, and it's all over. Headline, no longer can newspapers just tell you the story. They got to tell you the drama of the story before they tell you the story. And that was part of what was bothering me about this. So these 2 young people died in a car accident over the weekend with a alleged DUI driver, head on, took the wrong ramp onto Route 6 and all of that. And, all you can do is just ask God why, and what a mess. But the thing that absolutely drove me bananas when I'm reading this story this morning is that both the Journal and at least one other television station decided that they're going to run this picture of this beautiful little girl who is the couple's daughter, nearly 6 years of age, I guess. And in the caption and in the stories, they let you know that she doesn't know yet, at least at press time, what happened to her parents. And I'm looking at these stories and I'm thinking, who is the journalist, the editor, who put together stories showcasing a little 6-year-old girl who just lost her parents, pointing out that she doesn't know yet? Now, I don't care what the mourning family might have told a reporter about that status of communication. It is so disrespectful to that little girl to put her out there unwitting about what's happened to her parents. In fact, I think it's journalistically unstable and sick behavior. Where's the soul in journalism anymore? Next item. Yeah, this is really a gagging perspective, no doubt. The headline on the pension deal is pretty self-congratulatory. And if you ask the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and special master at $400 per hour doing all the settlement behind the scenes work, he thought it was pretty cool too.
This is an awesome, awesome achievement, I think.
That's Chief Williams at the court on Thursday, Holy Thursday. Convenient, isn't it, rolling into a holy weekend and a news cycle that goes in another direction? On Newsmakers, a show you cannot miss, Tim White and Ted Nesi had Bob Walsh on. He's the head of the National Education Association, one of the chief unions here. And I don't know, a participant, maybe complicit, I still can't figure out. And the gag order, listen to this.
I appreciate in a mediation process why the Judge Staff Carter saw the merits of a gag order, because then you don't get the external fight in the media. This was a complicated issue. This was a controversial issue,
No, but
and
wait,
all the
that
unions
external
are in a
fight-
different
that external
place.
fight doesn't go anywhere.
And
It just makes
some
it
of the
harder
media
to
covered it
report.
wrong. Like the ACLU was wrong, saying, well, they shouldn't have a gag order because the unions can't communicate with their members. Of course we can communicate with our members. You've got the leaked document showing exactly how we were communicating with our members. So I understand the distracting nature of having to serve, just like preparing for trial and having settlement talks at the same time, also having to answer a myriad
But
of
aren't the
media
people,
questions.
aren't the people
Oh, please. What are you kidding? We'll get Bob on here to talk about this some more. Oh my gosh, the inconvenience of a myriad of questions from the press about a $4 billion issue to our taxpayer bottom line. Actually, the entire pension program is nearing $9 billion. This is about a $4 billion unfunded liability. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that there's cahoots here. The judges and some of the players in this gag order. And the idea that it would be oh so inconvenient and just way over the top to have to respond to the press. And by the way, you know, the unions, the 59,000 union members, many of which did not vote in this whole thing, are not exclusively informed by your secret memo, Bob. They're informed by media coverage of the proposal, which was nowhere to be found until it was leaked and never confirmed. Gordon Fox is headed to jail, as we know. It's kind of old news. The House Speaker will have a June sentencing, the former House Speaker, on a 3-year plea agreement that he made with the feds. But I just wanted to let you know that old Gordon, oh, look at all that snow, so recent and now gone. He got a double whammy there at the end of the week. First, on Holy Thursday, he was stripped of his Rick honorary degree, rightfully so. And remember, they took the money that he gave to them from his defunct, now defunct, fraudulent campaign account, and they put it aside, so they wanted to see if the dust cleared before they actually spent it, and they were wise enough to set it aside and then send it back, but they don't know where to send it back to because that fund doesn't exist anymore. So they're still in limbo with some $50,000 that he sent, but at least they stripped him of his degree. And then, after that, the state Supreme Court took his license to operate away after he was disbarred. You know what the funny thing is? He can come back after jail, show himself to be a good citizen, and maybe get his law license back. There's precedent for that. But I don't think he's going to get that degree from Rick again. Just a hunch. Unbelievable. John Calipari's team goes into the game 38-0, and they get beat by a Wisconsin team that hardly looked like a Cinderella team. They looked like a team that actually owned Kentucky from beginning to end. It was fantastic. Listen, winning at that level is hard, going undefeated is even harder. Do you know that no undefeated team going into the NCAA tournaments has ever won the national championship? I didn't know that until this weekend. Good for Wisconsin. Tonight's game with Duke ought to be a dandy. Your state of mind is important to us. You contact us by calling us and leaving us a voicemail at 228-1886. You can email us at stateofmind@myradtv.com. Dan York Show, Facebook, Twitter. Don't forget the E. Here's a Facebook post on the baseball situation. Imagine for a minute how this looks when you put it all together. The fan base who carried the Paw Sox out of near bankruptcy in the late 70s being abandoned. This is all about the Paw Sox moving to Providence, but are being arm-twisted into covering the risk of the venture that will take part of their summers away forever. Add to that the potential loss of revenue to Mr. Skeffington, that's the new co-owner, and the Landoff and the assistance that Pawtucket's going to need to get past revenues and the lost revenues related to the team. By the way, people should know. It's a long, lengthy thing. I get it. It's like a bunch of people complaining, or that gentleman complaining about a lot of things about the Paw Sox move to Providence. Pawtucket doesn't get any revenue from the Paw Sox specifically. Now, there might be some economic benefit that surrounds, and there's identity benefit, which then turns into economic benefit. But when it comes to direct cash flow, not really. Not too much anyway. Pawtucket leases the stadium to the state, which then leases it to the Paw Sox. A little bit of revenue, not a lot of bit of revenue. The big revenue thing will be if they got to take McCoy down, the state's going to have to kick in and really develop that property. That's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money too, and should be factored into all of this. All righty, when we come back, great story out of URI, helping world hunger and public relations students, adding to the project. I'm actually not eating these yet. My guests might try to get me. I don't need to put the weight on, but serious problem in the world, a lot of kids that do. Take a look at this.
ADCIA's mission is to end childhood malnutrition, and the way we do that is through the production of peanut-based, ready-to-use foods that are specially formulated for children, very young children. So far to date, we've exported to about 44 countries and helped treat about 2.5 million children. ADCIA is a very small nonprofit, and we don't always have the luxury of hiring a sophisticated public relations team to help us with our campaigns. So every time someone helps us, we feel a huge amount of gratitude, because it's not only helping us raise funds for our cause, but also helping raise awareness about this important issue that is affecting over 220 million children in our world.
You know, there's some incredible work that's being done here in this state by companies that are kind of quiet here in Rhode Island, but can't be quiet around the world as they try to get their job done. You saw Sergio in the video. Welcome. You're a senior at URI?
Yes, I am.
About ready to get out? Originally from Brazil?
From Brazil, yes.
Okay. People are going to say, that guy doesn't look like he's 20 or 22, so you're back into school, right?
I'm back into school, yes.
Yes. What's it like to be a little older, hanging out with 21, 20-year-olds?
Actually, it's very interesting.
Yeah?
Most students are very welcoming of older students on campus. And the interesting thing about it is that I learned so much from them. I'm sure they learned from me as well. Have a little bit more life than they have, gone through. But yet, I learned from them as well. It's a beautiful exchange, so we get along well.
Interesting.
At URI, we have brilliant students. They're young people, but they are very, very brilliant.
Right. Well, there is. I mean, we showcase the brain power down there all the time. Kate runs the URI publications and creative services part of. Where does that sit in the university organization thing?
So we're in the communications division,
Okay.
and I don't run it. I'm an editor, staff editor in
well,
the
the editor runs the
publications,
show,
publications
sort of.
and creative services.
You had an idea to build a project around this company.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so I first learned about ADCIA when I had started a group called Irish Americans for Famine Relief, and was looking for a way to honor Irish history and the great legacy of the potato famine by helping today. And I found it remarkable that we had this company, that was in 2011, that had started in Rhode Island in 2010 producing Plumpy Nut and distributing it worldwide through humanitarian partners like UNICEF and World Food Program.
Do we have a picture of Plumpy Nut, Jess? Or do we have one of those photos around? Well, there's a couple of the little ones. embarking in a Plumpy Nut, which does incredible work. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, you were saying.
So I realized that this had all the makings of a great student learning project. It connected a lot of the university's goals, hands-on learning, community service, engaging with a local business, and it has a global reach. So this past fall, I approached Regina Bell, the program chair of the public relations program at the Harrington School, and we talked about it. And for the spring, she recruited 4 independent study students, Sergio being one of them, to work on this fast-moving campaign for the semester.
Right there.
Yes.
Listen, the theory in a classroom is wonderful, right? But hands-on experience helping a project, you cannot beat the value of that, right?
No, there's actually, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things I enjoy the most are the hands-on projects. It is the fact that I can pick the theory that we have learned in the classroom and apply to real-life events. And that's so valuable. Just imagine all these students, all of us, we're going to leave URI very well capable of actually getting into a job and be able to work right off the bat without having to go through a whole lot of process. Now, I have the theory, but I haven't done much with it.
What's your theory?
No, I mean, saying the theory of the theory for
I thought you were going to throw a big theory at me, like a life, like a life thing. No, that's fine. No, right. Theory is one thing, but practical experience is another.
It's another, and this project in specific gave us all around everything that you would possibly do at a PR agency, basically, from putting together a blueprint for the project, designing and devising an entire social media campaign to address everybody in the community, getting the relationship, building relationship between Edizia and the community in Rhode Island, which were very successful at doing so. I think it is one of the best things URI has done to all of us students, is to offer those hands-on projects.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what the company is doing, but really what the resources that URI had just to be able to add value to your business. Stay with us. $220 million children. It's unbelievable. I mean, we operate in a complete vacuum here in America, no doubt. And this URI PR project to help this company, Edizia, which is new here in Rhode Island, is a phenomenal marriage, at least for the project. Will this be long term, or it's just when you get in there, you help them with what length of term of effort?
This was for this semester. It was primarily a 9-week campaign. They toured the factory in January.
How do they live without them now? No, seriously. I mean, that's you want your internship program, or any kind of project that helps the private sector to be so valuable that when they're gone, absence makes the heart go really fond.
Right. Well, I think we did build a relationship, and I think also Edizia is very pleased that we started a very much a community conversation about these issues, about childhood malnutrition, and about what they're trying to do about it.
Tell me about this company a little bit, now that you guys are PR experts on them. They've been around for how long? Not too long.
Since 2010.
All right.
And they have helped many, many children already all over the world in pretty much over 44 countries. Actually, they have distributed those Plumpy Nut bars. They have been doing wonderful work here in Rhode Island as well by creating new jobs. And
how many are they employing?
70 right now. And they are moving to Quonset, their factory. And that's one of the reasons we felt so happy to be helping them with all of these projects, because this will guide the factory there, where they will be able to produce many, many more of those Plumpy Nut bars that will save a lot more lives.
So your URI's PR effort, lending the brain power of URI students to this company, gave them the best help where? Internationally, nationally, locally? What was your challenge in telling the story?
The challenge telling the story, I believe, it is mostly in the fact that there is so much malnutrition happening around the world, right, including probably in the U.S. as well, and has become today, up to today's date, that it is hard to get through people and tell them, give them the message, because we have said it so much. We all know that people are starving around the world, that is malnutrition. And the little video you saw right now with the 220 million children, we put that was a video we put together.
So that was your project.
Yes,
That was your ad to their marketing scheme.
to their marketing.
Okay.
So building that message and putting out there for them, I think that's the most valuable thing we could have done.
And you're not just providing brain power here, you're actually helping them raise some dough. I mean, so you've saved some lives in this project.
Yes,
Yes.
I think, in fact, the project got a impact award from the Harrington School of Communication and Media because the students have raised enough money to be the equivalent of 88 lives saved, or 88 boxes of Plumpy Nut.
Well, you want to get to 100.
And we'd love to get it to 100, yes.
So we've got that information. So if you want to help with that, that's where you can make your green count. That was part of a campaign that ran up through St. Patty's Day, but it extends with a new goal of 100. Crowdrise.com is where you'll find out how you can contribute. So what's the moral of the story about what has happened here?
Well, I found it to be a great experience working with these students and working with Regina Bell in the Harrington School. I think it raised awareness of this issue in the college community, and also they got some national attention for it. I'm excited that as a Rhode Islander that we have a company like this, a nonprofit company like this that's doing, I believe, 800,000 children a year are being reached, and when they have their factory in full swing, they expect to be reaching 2 million children a year.
Well,
so
right out of Quonset.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
right out of Quonset.
And I'm guessing the company felt like they'd hire a bunch of pros at a pretty good discount, right?
A pretty good discount.
Yeah.
Well, I have been loving working with this project for many reasons. One of the reasons it is the fact that, as Kate mentioned before, a local company right here from Rhode Island, our little Rhode Island state, doing like something so huge with a global impact. This is so amazing, and I feel everybody should know about it that's coming from Rhode Island, and we are helping to save lives around the world, you know, right from here. So
A PR natural. I think we've got a PR natural. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Dan.
Okay,
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very
more
much.
kids by.
Thank you.
One final thought on opening day when we come back. Stay with us. So it is opening day and opening evening. I saw some of this data today and I couldn't believe it. Check this out. You know what it costs now to go to a ball game? The average ticket price for stadiums in America, that's average, just under $29 a ticket, with the average family of four spending $211. And Jess just whispered in my ear, that includes food and a hat. Sorry for the extravagance. The average premium ticket in Major League Baseball, $96. Now, the Red Sox average ticket is nearly double the average ticket price across the major leagues. And the average Yankee premium ticket, $305. That's all data from MLB. And you want to know why the Paw Sox are such an important conversation around here? The baseball is darn near that quality, and the discount, well, $8 you can go to a Paw Sox game. It's unbelievable. But enjoy the season. Spring has sprung. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow at noon on WPRO and back here tomorrow night at 7:30.